The power of having positive team dynamics can be illustrated through Excel Sport's own research in connection, communication, and psychological safety. This lesson outlines how common assumptions about teams can actually be inaccurate and how building a positive team is more about deliberate and intentional action than it is about collecting individual standouts. This module is focused on team performance, so instead of looking at individual athletes, we're going to address group dynamics, psychological safety, and team success, as, you guessed it, a team. For the purposes of this module, you coach a hockey team that has existed for decades. There are strong traditions, a strong fan base, and yet a constantly revolving team roster due to the nature of graduating seniors and incoming freshmen. You find this season's team technically very skilled, but with significant comparison to years past teams, you are sensing the pressure mounting and the team dynamic slipping away as everyone is focused so hard on skill development and refinement. Throughout this lesson, we're going to cover a number of strategies that you can use to shift this team to a greater version of where they are currently at. Let's dive in. Anytime two or more people come together to collaborate on something more than just themselves, it is considered a team. Google had a hypothesis that you could build the best team by just compiling the best people, the perfect team, if you will. They were dramatically wrong and spent the next several years studying more than 180 teams over a 2-year period. There were still no definitive answers as to what made a team successful. They kept coming back to what was referred to as group norms, the traditional behavioral standards and unwritten rules that govern how teams function when they gather. Norms can be unspoken or openly acknowledged, but their influences are often profound. This can be summarized as the whole can be greater than the sum of its parts. Here's what Google learned about the ingredients that are crucial to create the best teams. Dependable team members get things done on time and they meet expectations. Structure and clarity. Team members that have clear, well-defined roles within the group as well as clear goals. Personal significance for each team member, meaning the work has personal significance for individual goals and motivations that contribute to the overall goals and motivations of the team. Impact. Team members think their work matters, which positively impacts the greater good. Psychological safety. Team members feel safe to take risks and be vulnerable in front of each other. Psychological safety was the one ingredient that stood out from the rest by a far margin. Let's get a little deeper into psychological safety. Those who have been in an environment where they feel safe to voice opinions and ask judgment-free questions, including a culture where everyone feels safe to let down their guard, has experienced psychological safety. We cover psychological safety extensively in other Excel learning lessons and modules. It is the responsibility of the coach, manager, team members, and captains to create these safe zones. This includes the building of trust and prioritizing vulnerability. This is in contrast to situations and environments where we worry about feeling incompetent or where either the leader or someone else in the group would react to our commentary. We have held back on asking questions or sharing an idea, and we will never forget if we've been embarrassed in front of other people by an insensitive team member. This is referred to as psychological danger. This can include group members blaming each other, a fear of admitting mistakes, and an unwillingness to learn from failure. Before we move on to a study completed by MIT, let's grade our current team's level of psychological safety. For a hockey team, you do find that you have an above average level of psychological safety. Let's say a B+ on a grading scale. This creates a solid foundation to be able to build off of. Without psychological safety, the strategies that we are about to discuss will not have the same impact or depth. You need to prioritize psychological safety as the foundation for any team performance. Take a moment and think about your own team. How would you grade them on a scale from A to F? Moving right along, MIT has found that there are 3 things that separate the best teams from the rest. The first is emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is defined by a person's ability to recognize and understand and manage his or her emotions and the emotions of others, as well as to be able to handle interpersonal relationships. This is a skill that can be trained just like anything else. Gave roughly equal time to each other. The group all fully participated in helping the team solve the problems and complete the various tasks. Equal participation requires that each team member of the group feels psychologically safe. The third, women. Having more women in the group appears to have to do with doubling down the effect of the first point, meaning women are more likely to have a higher degree of social sensitivity than men. Women have elevated levels of collective intelligence, which is shared, or group intelligence that emerges from the collaboration, collective efforts, and competition of many individuals, and appears in a consensus in decision-making. This can be more difficult in sport and athletic environments that are often differentiated by gender. For men's teams, a strategy you can use to elevate the benefits of having women on your team are striving for gender equity and inclusivity across leadership, key support positions, and coaching roles. 2 additional themes stick out when it comes to high-performing teams: social capital and helpfulness. Social capital is the trust, knowledge, reciprocity, and shared norms that contribute towards quality of life and make a group more resilient. Social capital makes organizations more productive and creative because high levels of trust that create a climate of safety and honesty. The helpfulness of a group has a direct impact on profits, costs, productivity, and efficiency when a study was completed across various industries. Helpful teams of people accelerate the sharing of knowledge and expertise. They don't let one another stay stuck or confused, and they try and prevent problems before they arise. Helpful teams don't allow colleagues or team members to become isolated or cut off. When it comes to team building, relationship building is absolutely critical and may be the most important variable in building successful teams. Theodore Roosevelt stated this as, "They don't care how much you know until they know how much you care."